I want to talk about the front lines of business right now. I want to talk about what's going on out in the marketplace. To do that, we got to kind of step back. Last couple decades, there were three huge trends affecting business. How business was done, how things were sold, how they were bought, how they were compared. The first of those was globalization. How do we build it? Where do we build it? Can we make it? Can we ship it? Second was digitization. The ability to compare one company and another company, one offering and another offering, and the ability to do that around the world. Finally, there was mobilization. Your ability as a consumer to buy almost anything at almost any time in any place. These have transformed business and built the platform over the course of the last 2 decades for multi-billionaires, as well as the collapses and consolidations of a lot of industries out in the marketplace. That's the last 2 decades. Now, I work out on the front lines of business right now. I work with companies that are typically between $5 million and $250 million in size, and we focus on helping them to double the speed with which they double the size of their business through acquiring new accounts. And I've got a report to kind of give you an insight as to what the next decade is going to look like. What are the next 3 trends that you are going to be, as business leaders, business owners, and sales executives, having to manage and navigate to be effective? The first of these trends is what I call the zombie apocalypse. The zombie apocalypse deals with a change in the organizational structure of buying. Now, I want you to imagine an org chart. At the top is a senior executive. Underneath that person is several middle-level executives, and underneath that is a frontline level of managers and decision makers. Now, we talk about positional purchase power. At each of these levels, there has been, over time, a different level of authority to make a buy. At the top level, let's just say for the sake of math, we're going to use $3 purchase power. At the next level, we'll call that $2 purchase power, and the front line, $1 purchase power. The zombie apocalypse has occurred to the middle level of decision makers in organizations. Oh, the bodies are still there. They're still there. They just have no authority. Now, the real tragedy about this is twofold. The first is, these are the people who actually understand what it is that you offer as a solution, as a value, as a product. And secondly, we've spent 4 decades in sales training teaching frontline salespeople how to communicate effectively with $1 and $2 decision makers. And now, our best salespeople have gotten infinitely better at talking to a level of people who no longer matter. $2 decision makers are now in the position of not being able to have the authority to choose, but instead they have to refer. They take all of our best ideas and our offerings and our proposals, and during the sales process, we ask them, who's the decision maker? And they always said, I am. And then we submit our proposal, and they say, I'm going to have to run this by somebody, which would mean that they're not the decision maker. And they take that proposal, and they take it where? One of 2 places. They either take it off to procurement and purchasing, or they take it to the $3 decision maker. Now I have a $3 decision maker spending his or her time focusing on a $2 problem, which means it gets delayed and delayed and delayed. In the buying process, we all know that time kills all deals, and we now have a problem. And that is, either we are stuck in the little hamster wheel of procurement and purchasing, or in the hamster wheel of purchasing priorities of $3 decision makers. That's the zombie apocalypse. It is rolled out in most industries. I have the privilege of leading a company that teaches hundreds of companies how to land big sales here in the United States as well as around the world, and have landed over $5.2 billion using this system. And I'm going to tell you that it is starting to move out in rapid pace as a problem across the marketplace. So that's the first trend that you have to look out for. The second trend is the consensus buy. There was a time where a decision maker and you, as a business owner, senior executive, or sales professional, could meet with a decision maker, high-level executive, and you could have a conversation, you could look each other in the eye. It might take one meeting, might take 5 meetings. You might have meals and golf. You might only meet in the offices, but it doesn't matter. At some point, you would reach across the table and say, I'm looking forward to doing business with you. They would say, I'm looking forward to doing business with you. You would shake hands, and you would come to an agreement. They would go back to their organization, and they would make whatever commitments had been made happen. You would go back to your organization and make whatever commitments had been made happen. You might have done a 5-figure, 6-figure, 7-figure, 8-figure deal based upon the relationship, trust, and commitment of just 2 people. Now, you have all those meetings and those conversations with those executive buyers. You reach your hand across the table and say, I'm looking forward to doing business with you. And they reach their hand across the table and say, I can't wait for you to meet my team. Now you know things are gonna just go faster because when they add more people, it always goes faster, right? No. They add people in. They add people in who have little authority to say yes, but a tremendous amount of authority to say no. The consensus buying environment means that organizations get groupthink and norm down to the lowest standard. You have 1 or 2 people who can sign the contract, and you have 7 or 8 people who can say no. You wish they would say no. They don't say no. Nobody says no anymore. It's politically incorrect to say no. They say, yes, this is a great idea. This is exactly what we ought to do. We should get started on this as soon as we get the reorganization done. As soon as we complete the merger, the acquisition, the budgeting cycle, the onboarding of the new software system, as soon as this should become our #1 priority. The modern no is yes, later. Consensus buying, second trend. Third trend, sales process partitioning. The sales process partitioning really speaks to where we are in the future of the entire sales process overall compared to the past. In the past, one salesperson would prospect, develop a relationship, offer the features, benefits, and solutions, connect with an organization, execute the sales process, onboard the account, and service that account. One person. Partitioning means that the processes, resources, technology, approaches, and people that are involved are now separated into 3 separate categories. Prospecting being one activity, sales process being another activity, onboarding and growing being another activity. Prospecting supported by things like public relations, marketing, social media, and other activities. Sales process coordinated because for all those people on the buyer's table who had the power to say no, we have a matching peer set who has to show up to take that no off the table. And to do that, they have to do that with credibility, breaking down fears and barriers. And then once we've landed that deal, we have that purchase order, that statement of work, that letter of intent, that contract. Another team has to then grow that business and that entire opportunity beyond where it is now. 3 separate processes. So what are the implications? If these 3 trends are truth and they represent what the future of business development and business growth looks like, what does it mean to small and mid-sized business owners, business leaders, and senior sales executives? Well, I have news that may or may not be good for you, but it is the truth, and facts are our friends even if they are not friendly. Level 1 decision making, the $1 decision maker, the transactional buy, is all about speed to purchase and speed to delivery. What that means is $1 buyers are looking for operational efficiency, product effectiveness, and quickness, which means the cost of sale has to go very, very low because the comparative value is offered in a commodity environment. Think the internet. That world there means that the world of the $1 sale can no longer afford salespeople. It has to afford high-quality transaction processors. Now, this is not an indictment. This is not a declaration of what is good and bad or right and wrong. FedEx is built on this sales model. UPS, Zappos, Amazon are all built on this sales model. Your organization and company can be built on this sales model. But going forward, the idea of hiring salespeople, managing salespeople to $1 level of sales is no longer going to be cost effective or produce the yields that it did in the past 2 decades. Swim lane number 1, transactional selling. Swim lane number 2 to choose from would be the idea of the structured purchase. So they've gone the game. They've decided that they want RFPs, RFQs, RFBs. They want bid processes, reverse auctions, procurement and purchasing handled sales processes. Almost all of us have been pushed in one way or another towards that particular direction. If you want to compete at the $2 buy, get great at the structured purchase. Become more effective at the RFP, RFQ, RFI, and all of the other pieces. Yes, you're going to have to be much better at representing your business in a written format, in a presentation format, to money-based buyers. Procurement and purchasing is not necessarily always associated with value purchases. It's typically price-driven. You can win in this game. Many of the organizations that are out there who play as primary and secondary suppliers into the large industries have learned how to be very effective in the space of the structured buy. Your third option, the third swim lane, become better at solving $3 problems. You know, I want you to make certain that you connect with this simple set of words. You get sent to whom you sound like. When you speak about your product, your solution at a $2 level, you will be sent to $2 people. No matter how good you are at networking, no matter how friendly you are, no matter how many college years you spent with a senior executive, they will push you down to a $2 buyer because they have $3 problems. If you're not solving $3 problems, you will spend your time with $2 buyers. And as we've discussed already, $2 buyers have no power. So for small and mid-sized businesses, does this model favor us or is it against us? Like most trends, there are going to be winners and losers. The winners will be those who navigate this well. Yes, big companies get to play on all 3 levels. Absolutely, they have the resources and the marketing, the money and the profits and the margins to make that work. But for small and mid-sized businesses, we don't necessarily have the opportunity to play. We have to choose 1 or 2 swim lanes and then become amazingly effective in those swim lanes. You can choose to be transactionally effective, you can choose to be structurally oriented, or you can choose to target large opportunities in which you solve large problems using different language, looking through the eyes of your buyer at what is their real problem. So I encourage you, if you are an owner, a leader, or running a sales team out there, make your choice, structure your approach, and go to the market well, because these trends from the front lines are the way the future is going. Thank you very much.